Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. You're watching India Tonight with me, Sumita Karir, and my colleague Nivedna Prabhu. We're coming to you live from our Delhi studios. And tonight on the show, the big story is around US Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick, who continues to threaten to fix India. And while Trump's salesmen like Lutnick, Peter Navarro, they continue to resort to threats, Russia has hailed India's self-respect on the issue of buying Russian oil, Nivedna.
Absolutely. In fact, amid all this, the bumper response to festive sales has propelled the Indian economy. India's festive e-commerce season is off to a, remember, blockbuster start. Now, e-commerce GMV crossed over 60,000 crore in just the first week. According to the Datum Intelligence, the response of Indians to the festive sales, GST rate cuts and Trump's tariff threats raises the question, have Indians shut the door on corny Trumpians? Sumita.
And to discuss this big story tonight, joining us now is Vijay Sardana. He's an economist, and Navroop Singh, IPR attorney, Delhi High Court. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for taking the time out and speaking to us here on ET. Now, let me come to you first, Mr. Sardana. Referring to Lutnick's remarks, I mean, America is a country of stellar marketeers and salespersons. Mr. Lutnick himself has a corporate background. But why does he fail to understand that deal-making and sales cannot really happen under pressure? It cannot happen via arm twisting and disrespecting allies and partners, and certainly not India.
First of all, good evening to you, fellow panelists and the viewers. See, you have to understand that America is going through a very serious crisis and they are desperate to look for a dustbin or a dumping ground. Now, let me give you a little background. Why America is so desperate. One side, they keep talking about India is a dead economy. On the other side, they are desperate to have a deal with India. Because China has refused to take the agriculture products from America. Right now, there are about 100 million tons different commodities are lying in American warehouses. Prices in America has dropped by anything between 20 to 30% for agro commodities. $50 billion worth of losses farmers are suffering. To compensate that, US government is giving $25 billion as a subsidy, or you can say income support, whatever way you want to define. After that also, the new season is arriving. They don't have a space in warehousing. Existing warehouses are fully occupied. Rental is going on. Commodities are perishable in nature, so they are losing their life and they don't know what to do with this. Now, when China is refusing, which used to buy anything about 50 to 60 million tons of commodities from America in different categories, they are desperately looking for a dumping ground. And this is what you're finding is just a beginning. With every passing day, their patience will go further down. They will start making all
the way
sorts
that you're
of
essentially looking at it. I'm going to come back to you as far as that point is concerned about the desperate dumping ground as well. But while you make those opening remarks, let me also get in a word in from Mr. Singh. Mr. Singh, you know, when a global voice like Lutnick says we need to fix India, but it almost implies India is broken. At least that's if you decode it. But yet Moody's calls us stable. Russia hails us self-respect, and festive sales clearly are booming. So from where you stand, does India actually need fixing, or does the world need to fix its perception of the country?
Thank you so much for inviting me. I would say that, it isn't India which needs fixing. It is Mr. Lutnick who needs his vision to be fixed. But unfortunately, they have been unable to understand India's agriculture or dairy sensitivities. And as Mr. Vijay said, we can't be the dumping ground. Just because China has been, in the last quarter, in FY24 or the last financial year, they nearly imported, $3.2 billion and it's been zero. And this time they have done a different trick. They have gone to Argentina and they have, procured soybean from Argentina. So the whole Midwest belt of America, from Kentucky to Iowa to Nebraska to Illinois to Missouri to Kansas, which is a hardcore Republican farmer belt, and now it's suffering because the crop is in. No one is lifting. Neither India is lifting, nor China is lifting. China is going to Argentina and Brazil, and even by the time the next crop, by the time they realize that the next crop will come in Brazil in January. So technically, Americans farmers are in dire need, and which is why the bailouts are being
Absolutely.
given in by the administration. So that is the problem. So our problem is we
Right.
are a consumption-based economy. So we don't need the fixing. It is you whose vision needs the fixing.
Absolutely. And our domestic growth story is intact, Mr. Navroop Singh. That's a good point that you've made. Let me come to you, Mr. Sardana. Now, of course, Mr. Navroop Singh is essentially referring to how Mr. Lutnick has been awfully wrong on past occasions as well when he said that India will need to say sorry and that it will come to the negotiating table in a month or two. And that did not happen given the fact that India continued to maintain its red lines as far as agri is concerned. But what is the larger impact that you see of American tariffs? Because over these past few weeks or months, even though we've seen Donald Trump essentially stating that Prime Minister Modi is a very good friend, on the other hand, we've also seen the United States actually come up with pharma tariffs. He's also come up with various policies, the H-1B visa fee increase that's likely to impact the IT sector, and of course the Chabahar port sanctions waiver that has come in. So how much of an impact do all of these policies combined are likely to have on the Indian economy?
So to understand that, you have to first also appreciate the India's geopolitical scenario and the size of the market. Today, if you see the big economies, China is not in their control. They can't address China because China is far superior in most of the critical technology. They cannot control Russia, which they are finding in Ukraine. It's difficult. Europe, anyway, is a stagnant economy. There is no future there, so they don't want to waste time there. Africa is a potential, but there is no purchasing power as of today. Latin America, anyway, moved away from America. It is in the camp of China, and they are building their own ecosystem. Asia, all are small economies except China and India. Now, in this case, and in Middle East also, the population is very limited. They have purchasing power, but how much they will eat? So their food habits are also very different. So only option left, if you put on the global chessboard, the only place America has a hope and they desperately want, that is India. And that is why it is like a carrot and stick game which America is playing. Trump says something else, then his junior minister says something else, then some minister come with a new ideology, and then Trump says, I'm a good friend, then you say he's a pally with me. All those things are just creating smoke screens, somehow trap India. That is the desperate option they have. So first thing is, India should not buy any appeasement or gain or appreciation given by America, because America is a classic case, which is muh mein ram bagal mein chhuri. They are here to slaughter you. They are not here to help you in any way. America is a hardcore, selfish trader country. Their only interest is their self-interest. All others are pawn in the game. Except that fact, no confusion at all. Now, what
Right.
India can do?
Right, Mr. Sardana.
India can.
Right, Mr.
Yeah.
Sardana. Let me ask you a follow-up question to that. You're essentially stating that America is only interested in its own interests, and given the fact that some of the sectors are facing some amount of pressure, and which is why this pressure building on India continues. But let me ask you one more question around the fact that when these trade deal negotiations are currently on, what's the best case scenario that India can work with? What is it that India can offer to the United States without the threat of these tariffs further getting raised by Donald Trump over the next couple of weeks?
See, we have to appreciate one thing, that America is not interested in anything buying from India. We have to be very clear on that. Don't remain in illusion that without us, America will suffer. It means the bargaining power is in hands of America. It is not with us. But we have a market in which America wants to dump for their own survival or sustainability. That is why it is important. So look from that angle. Now, when it comes to negotiating power, India must look into multi-dimensional impact of whatever we do, like what newspapers are talking today. For example, India will buy corn for ethanol production. My concern is that if you really want ethanol, then buy ethanol, don't buy corn. That is my request to Modi government. Because when you are buying corn for ethanol production, you will get 40%. Suppose I'm buying 1 ton of corn, you will get 40% as a ethanol. Remaining almost 30% to 35% is DDGS, and there is no market in India for that. Number one. So what you will do with that? You are buying 100 kg, utilizing only 40, 60 will becomes your liability. Number one. Number two, it will destroy your oil seed economy forever, which we are already suffering. So all soybean farmer, mustard farmer will be out of business, because today profitability of oil seed sector is because of meals, because 70% edible oil anyway we are importing from the world market. So my only concern to government of India is that please do the holistic review, whatever is on the table. If you need professional help, talk to professionals in the industry. Don't leave it only to the bureaucracy, those who have only one track agenda sometimes because of political pressures. So one way of looking at it is that we have to
Dana,
look
you
into
make very
every
important
proposal
points.
coming
We're
from
going to
there. We
get
have to be
back
very
to the
logical.
fact that as to how you are essentially looking at this and what kind of course correction is required. But I want to draw the attention to what we're currently seeing, at least in the domestic market consumption. And Mr. Singh, I'll take that to you. Thank you also for being extremely patient, but we've had the opportunity to come to you. Now, what we're looking at here is after the GST rate cuts and how there has been clearly a surge showing India's domestic market that's increasingly self-reliant. Do you see this also as a soft power message to the world that India can thrive even without bending to protectionist pressures?
Yes, absolutely. Because we have to understand that our exports to America comprise only 2.2% of our GDP. And if we take out the exempted sectors like electronics, smartphones, and pharmaceuticals, like the critical the sector which comprise maximum exports, then it is only a GDP hit of 0.5 to 0.7 basis points, and that's hardly a hit because what the government has done, it's taken a wonderful tax deregulation step in the GST Bachat Utsav. By that way, you are going to spur consumption in the economy, and then you are going to, it will have first year, second year, third year effects, and we can self-sustain ourselves. Our economy is 64% consumption based, our labor force is 45% in agriculture, and we are not an export driven economy like China is. So we cannot be tariffed into submission, which is why the whole premise of the Trump administration, or we can pick and choose one sector every 10, 15 days, import some tariff, and make India submit to our demands or our wish list. That's next to impossible. And that is our core strength, that we are an agro-rural based workforce with a service revenue comprising 54% and an economy which is very less dependent upon exports. And even in that export, and it's like smartphone, like we have Apple, which is exempted from tariffs. And we have got a significant boost to auto sector. So with that, auto ancillary, seeds, steel production, all those, the whole ecosystem starts churning. And that will generate a lot of employment.
Right.
So that will give a lot of boost to the economy in coming years to come.
Right, Mr. Singh. Right, Mr. Singh, and we'll have to see, to what extent can India really shield its economy from the impact of these tariffs, given the fact that India has some of the highest tariffs in the world, along with Brazil. But let me come to you, Mr. Sardana, for one final question. Given how we've, looked at negotiations that are happening with China, for instance, a business deal via TikTok has happened, and that perhaps could pave way for lowering of tariffs in the future with that country. In India's case, do you think it's going to be India increasing the purchase of oil that's going to help us strike some sort of a deal with the United States, given the fact that we are given to understand from sources that energy imports are a pressing concern in these talks?
See, you have to be very clear. This whole argument, all the problem is because of agriculture. All other things are annexures. Energy, corn, all those things are just annexure to the whole core problem. We have to be very, very focused that like we have an agriculture crisis in India because of politics, same thing in farm votes are crucial in America as well. Their contribution in GDP is less than 1%, but they know how to and who should become a president or who should be in Congress. So we have to be very clear. Let's not digress with all those smoke screens which are created by America. They badly need India to dump their surplus, which is lying and rotting in warehouses. Without that, it is not 1 year's problem. Please understand, in agriculture, you will get crop every year. And every year where you will dump, there is no market replacement of China in the world market except India.
Right,
So
Mr.
when
Sardana.
America wants to
In fact, as
reduce
you
the
point that out,
dependency
and
on
also
China,
given the fact that how we were putting into perspective, towards the end, we'd have to see how that pans out. But I'm afraid I'd have to interject you there because we're running short of time. But on that note, Mr. Sardana, as well as Mr. Singh, thank you very much for taking the time out and joining both Sumita and I on India Tonight. But for the moment, we leave it at that. But we